Concrete, moonlight, and a touch of fire. Simple ingredients, but stunning results. Let me show you how this little piece of magic came to life. This isn't just a tea light holder. It's a blend of simple concrete and celestial vibes. In this video, I'll show you every step from shaping the moon's crescent curves to getting the perfect finish on the concrete. So grab your tools and let's bring this piece of the night sky to your table. Welcome back to Timber West Design, where we talk timber, shade structures, and outdoor living. Here are the supplies you're going to need for this project. Some Simmental cement mix, some buckets to mix it in. I like the vessel, a larger one for the Simmental, some for the water. You're going to need a scale to weigh that. You're going to need a way to mix that. I like this drill mixer. You're going to need some molds. We'll get to that in a minute. You're going to need some mold release, primer, guide coat. I'm going to do two versions of this. We're going to do two different colors. You'll need some spot putty, some sandpaper, and your choice of tea light. I have a candle one and I have an LED one. Both work awesome. So I came up with this crescent moon design for my tea light holder. This is bigger than my printer can print, so I'm going to cut this in half. So I have a top half section, left and right, and I have a bottom section left and right with the insert here for the tea light. It's going to actually form this way. This is the concrete and this is where we'll pour it in. So these parts are ready to send to the printer, so let's get started. Here's where the magic starts. The 3D printer turning an idea into reality. Layer by layer, it's building the mold that'll shape our concrete into this moon-inspired masterpiece. Pretty satisfying, isn't it? The 3D printer's been working hard. Here's the result of that. We finally got our parts. This took a little while to do. These are a lot of printing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this section together, this section together, and then I'm going to put some mold release on it, and then I'll put it together the rest of the way. I've got two sections bolted together like this. Now what I want to do is I want to put the mold release in here before I put the whole thing together. So I like to do that in a box to contain the spray, and I've got this canola oil. So what we're going to do is just a light coat, nothing too heavy, but you just got to make sure it's going to release. I got a little heavy on that one. I might wipe that one out a little bit. And then we got this little center puck that's going to make the pocket for the tea light. Okay, we're ready to assemble. Line up the holes, put the bolts in. The bolts also, they pinch it together, but they also register the two molds so they line up together as well. So most molds that I've been making, you typically have two halves that come apart and create the shape. In this case, we have a little bit of a complicated pull. This wouldn't pull apart because I have a center hole where the tea light's going to go. So I have this separate breakaway section that goes in here, gets bolted in. Then when we demold, we'll pull this apart first, then take the two halves apart. If you design the mold right and have enough different breakaways, you can pretty much make any complex shape. So let's make this, we're going to get ready to pour. I did make this flange so that I could clamp it down to the table, and this portion that needs the bottom, which needs to be level, will be level. So we're going to clamp this down to the table, and we're ready to pour. So we're ready to pour. The one way to calculate the volume of your concrete is in the CAD program. You can check the volume and see what your ratios are, or you can fill it full of water, see how much that water weighs, times that by 1.9, and that's going to give you the grams of Simmental you're going to need. So I had 842 grams of water, weight, 1,600 grams of Simmental, and it's a 4-to-1 ratio, so about 400 grams of water. I don't want to mix all of it in one time. I'm going to mix most of it. That way I have a little leeway on how much I put in. We're going to put a decent amount in. And we're going to just slowly mix. You want to get all the sides really well, get the bottom well. So normally I like a pancake batter consistency. There's some pretty fine detail and some sharp areas on this. I'm going to go a little thinner than I normally go so I can get to good detail. So I'm going to add a little bit more water. In cement, a little water goes a long way, so be careful with adding water. Okay, I think that looks good. What I love about these silicone bowls is I can make a little spout. I'm gonna pour it right into this little pocket here, make sure that I get good amount there. And we'll just pour the rest in. This pour spout makes it so easy. Okay, we're just about full. I wanna get it really, really close to the top, but I really don't wanna go over. Right about there. Now let's just kinda tap this thing, help get a little air out. Level it off a bit, and I think we're good to go. Are you struggling to get a good night's sleep? NuCalm is here to help. It's a breakthrough system that's designed to calm your mind and get your body ready for a deep, restful sleep. I use it every night. I put on this blackout mask with these built-in speakers, put it on, and go off into La La Land. I like to use the deepest sleep, the best sleep ever. Click the button, get ready for a great night's sleep. Sleep better, live better. Discover NuCalm today. I think we're ready to pull this thing. I let this go longer. Sometimes I go 3 hours and pull a mold. In this case, I let it go 6 or 7 hours. This is pretty delicate, so I want to make sure it's fully cured. So let's take the clamp off and we'll start taking this thing apart. Lots of bolts. So I don't need to take these molds off. I just need to split it in half this way. So I'll leave these bolts on. We need to take this puck section off first. Let's just gotta work this one out a little bit. And there we go. That made that pocket. That's kind of cool. And now let's split this thing in half and see what we got. It's coming off quite nicely though. I can feel it already. So there's one half. There we go. And there's the other half. So there's our finished product. We'll give this a few days to dry out and then we'll sand the parting lines, get it ready for primer, and then we'll paint it. So where the molds meet together here, we have some parting lines that need to be sanded. So you can either use some sandpaper, sand them out like that. You can use a block where it's appropriate. On the concave versions, you're not going to use a block, but on the outside on the convex, you can. You could sand that, or I've got this cool little sander that just turns on and you can just kind of sand it that way. So any of these tools will work. The bottom line was just need to get it smooth and ready for prime. So once that happens, we'll get to that point and go to priming. So the part's primed. There are a few little flaws here and there that the primer doesn't cover. So what we do is we take some spot putty on a glove and we just smear some spot putty in some of the areas that need some attention. We'll do that. We'll sand that down and might prime it one more time. So I've got 2 moons here. I'd like to do what's called a guide coat. So I take a flat black spray paint and I just do a light fog coat. So this is the one over here is primed without a guide coat. This one is with a guide coat. What the guide coat does is when you start sanding, it shows you where the low spots are. And so it's really, really easy to see where you need to continue to sand or add some more spot putty. But once we get this sanded, we'll be ready to paint. I did 2 versions, as you can see. One with this nice textured paint and one with a kind of a metallic gold. And I also did 2 different tea lights. So one is with a candle, as you can see here, and one is an LED that you can just turn on and off. It has a little flicker. I like them both. Just depends on what your preference is. And there it is, a little slice of the night sky right on your table. For all you creative minds out there, I'm gonna hold a little contest. If you send me an email with any design ideas for future projects that you might have, send me any details as far as like the design, what you have in mind, what you want it to do. If I end up using it for a future video, I will mail you the 3D printed molds to your house. That would be in the continental US only. If it's outside of the US, we'll have to talk about shipping, but I would only charge you the cost of the shipping. So go ahead and send it to info@timberwestdesign.com. Let's see what we come up with. If you love this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up or share it with your fellow stargazer. We'll see you next week.